Good afternoon. My name is Barbara Fuller. As chair of the board, I welcome you to this August 16th, 2022 regular meeting of the Washtenaw County Board of Road Commissioners. Our communications manager, Emily Kaiser, will describe how our meetings operate, how to access the agenda packet, and how to participate remotely or in person. Emily.
Thanks, Commissioner. So there are multiple ways to make public comment during today's meeting, whether you're joining us in person or virtually. If you're here in person and would like to make public comment, please fill out the sign-in sheet now. If you are joining us virtually, we ask that you virtually raise your hand at the appropriate time in the agenda. If you're joining us virtually, the chat feature on the Zoom meeting is available only as technical support for users on their computer or smartphone. If you're experiencing technical issues with audio or video during the meeting, please submit a comment in the chat feature and I will help you troubleshoot. If you're a staff member experiencing issues, please contact the IT help desk for assistance. The audio and video of this meeting is being recorded. A link to the video recording will be posted to wcroads.org in the coming days. There are printed copies of today's meeting agenda on the table here, and it's also posted to wcroads.org. There's a link available in the chat if you're joining us virtually. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily. I now call this meeting to order and ask Aaron to call the roll.
Chair Barb Fuller.
Present.
Vice Chair Rod Green.
Present.
Commissioner Douglas Fuller.
Present.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas.
Present.
Commissioner Joanne McCullum.
Present.
And the following directors are in attendance. Managing Director Cheryl Siddle, Director of Engineering and County Highway Engineer Matt McDonald, Director of Operations Adam Lape, and Director of Finance and IT Dan Ackerman actually has an excused absence today, so he won't be here.
Thank you, Aaron. If you would please join us in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First item is approval of the agenda. I'd accept a motion and then any changes or amendments to the agenda.
So moved.
Thank you.
Support.
Thank you.
I have a change.
Please, Commissioner Doug Fuller.
Under new business, we have an action item B as in boy, for the York Timber Ridge Special Assessment District, establishing date for public hearing to set the special assessment roll. I'd like to change that to the York Timber Ridge Special Assessment District, establishing date for public hearing for the petition for reconsideration.
Thank you. If there's no objection, I'm going to accept that change without a separate vote. Very good. So action item 1 is now for the public hearing for the petition for reconsideration. Are there any other changes to the agenda? Hearing none, Aaron, if you would call the roll.
Commissioner Rod Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Douglas Fuller,
Aye.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas,
Yes.
Commissioner Joanne McCullum,
Yes.
and Commissioner Barb Fuller.
Yes. The agenda is accepted unanimously as amended. Next item is acceptance of minutes. We have one set of minutes. May I have a motion to accept the board meeting minutes of August 2nd, 2022, appearing on pages 4 through 26 of our packet.
So moved.
Support. Any changes? Amendments, deletions? Hearing none. Aaron, if you would please call the roll.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas.
Yes.
Commissioner Joanne McCullum,
Yes.
Commissioner Rod Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Douglas Fuller,
Yes.
and Commissioner Barb Fuller.
Yes. Next item on our agenda is public comment. This is the time set aside on the agenda to receive comments from the public. This is not intended to be a period for dialogue. Each person will be allotted 3 minutes to address the board. Emily will explain how people may be recognized to offer comments. Emily?
Thanks, Commissioner. So since this is a hybrid meeting with both in-person and virtual attendees, we will take turn between those attending in person and those attending virtually. For virtual attendees, we ask that you virtually raise your hand now. If you're viewing the meeting on your computer, first make sure to click Join Audio. You can then raise your hand by clicking the Participants or Reactions button at the bottom of your screen and then the Raise Hand button. If you dialed into the meeting from your touch tone phone, raise your hand by dialing *9. I will unmute virtual participants with raised hands one at a time. I'll announce your username or the last 4 digits of your phone number when it is your turn to speak. Please share your name and address before beginning your comments. For in-person attendees, we'll start with those of you who've signed in on the sign-in sheet as you walked in. If you didn't sign in, you're still welcome to make comment. I'll notify you when it's your turn. Okay, we have one person in person that has asked to speak, so let me get that set up here a second. Steve, you can go up to the podium if you want to. Let me just switch over my screen here for a second.
Good afternoon. If you would be
Hi.
so kind as to state your name and your address, if you would, please, for the
Yeah,
record.
it's Steve Barth, 5091 Plymouth Road. I live right in Dixboro. And I wanted to make the board aware of an emerging issue that's come up, and I addressed a letter to Ken Schwartz about it. He recommended I come to this meeting and make you guys aware of it. There is shoulder parking alongside the Dixboro House project, that restaurant that was renovated in Dixboro between Cherry Hill and Ford Road.
Right there at
And-
that curve.
Yeah, all eastbound Plymouth Road. There's usually anywhere from 8 to 12 vehicles parked along from the cemetery back to the commercial buildings. And it's creating quite the road hazard because we have a large deer population, we have pedestrians, we have lots of turkeys. One even took out the grill of my Jeep. And so in the evenings, it's quite the gauntlet to drive through because you have vehicles parked all the way from the greenhouse, basically the cemetery, past the red house to the commercial buildings. I think one's called Nova, further back.
Okay.
And this has been going on basically all summer. I've called the sheriff's department a couple times about it. And, they sent a car. Never was given the output of whatever those results were. So it's become quite the hazard. And, it's basically somebody's going to get hurt or worse eventually, because you do have pedestrians. You do have a lot of people walking up and down Plymouth Road for a variety of reasons. And so I just wanted to make the board aware of it. What would be the next course of action, direction to go with this thing?
I appreciate your comments. This is not a time where we go back and forth just because
Okay.
that can spiral out of control. Not
Right,
today,
right.
obviously, but I'm going to ask the managing director to get in contact with you. Make sure, if you haven't already done so, that you leave your phone number and email address.
Yep, it's all there.
Okay. And Cheryl will make sure there's follow-up with you, and I really appreciate you bringing it to our attention.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thanks for your time.
Okay, have a good day.
You too.
And there is no one else on the sign-in sheet or with a raised hand virtually.
All right. In that case, we will move on to the next item, which is written communications, which appear on pages 27 through 32 of the packet. Anything anyone would like to bring our attention to? I'd just like to note that on page 30 through 31, that there was an extensive response made from Brent Schlack to Ms. Connie Smith regarding the neighborhood traffic management program within Ypsilanti Township. And I just want to commend Brent for such an extensive and specific response to her concerns. Anything else? Hearing none, we will move on to commissioner and staff follow-up to public comment. Anything in addition to respond to Steve about? We will follow up with you though.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Next item on our agenda is new business. The consent agenda. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented, items 1 through 3, back up on pages 33 through 96. Support. Aaron, if you would please call the roll.
Commissioner Joanne McCollum,
Yes.
Commissioner Rod Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Douglas Fuller,
Aye.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas,
Yes.
and Commissioner Barb Fuller.
Yes. Next, we have an action item. If Commissioner Doug Fuller would please make the motion.
Happy to. It's lengthy, so bear with me. Proposed motion, whereas this Washtenaw County Board of County Road Commissioners did on August the 2nd, 2022, pursuant to the provisions of Act 246 of Public Acts of 1931, as amended, make an order of determination that Green Valley Drive, Meadow Ridge Drive, Ridgeline Court, Ridgeline Drive, Timber Ridge Court, and Timber Ridge Drive in the Township of York, Section 15, Washtenaw County, Michigan, should be improved. And whereas this said order of determination for these roads has become the final determination of this board. And whereas this board has created Special Assessment District number 1313 SAD. And whereas this board held a second hearing of objections on July the 19th of 2022. And whereas on August the 15th of 2022, a petition for reconsideration was filed with the agency. And whereas it is necessary for this board to set the date for a public hearing on the petition for reconsideration. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the petition for reconsideration shall be filed in the office of this board and be open to all persons. A hearing shall be held at the office of this board on September the 20th, 2022 at 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time for the purpose of reviewing said petition for reconsideration. Notice of said hearing shall be published at least once each week for 2 weeks in some newspaper of general circulation in the proposed assessment district by posting 5 notices within the limits of the proposed special assessment district and by mailing notice by first-class mail to each owner of or party in interest in property in the proposed special assessment as shown on the last local tax assessment records. Such first publication, posting, mailing to be at least 10 days before the date of the hearing. Notice of the hearing as published, posted and mailed shall be in the form as attached hereto. All resolutions and parts of resolutions insofar as they conflict with the provisions of this resolution be the same are hereby rescinded. Be it further resolved that we approve and sign the 7th resolution for the York Timber Ridge Improvement Project and place it on file as part of the Special Assessment District number 13.
Do I hear a second? Second. Discussion. Mr. McDonnell, would you like to enlighten us?
Absolutely. Matt McDonnell, Director of Engineering. As Commissioner Fuller just read, we've accomplished a number of steps in the Special Assessment District process. What was supposed to be the setting the hearing date for the setting of the roll got altered because we were in receipt of a petition for reconsideration. As you know, we had received bids. The bids came in higher than the engineer's estimate, roughly over 10%. And we had to hold a second hearing of objections. After doing so, we went through and gave the folks in the Special Assessment District the option of circulating, in accordance with the statute, a petition for reconsideration. They submitted that yesterday. So we have reviewed that petition. Where we continue to review that with York Township. And upon the initial review, the lineal frontage of people that signed that petition was roughly 53% of the folks included in the SAD. However, in checking in with the township, there was one parcel that had been delinquent on their taxes. So that one parcel, removing that one actually took the percentage of lineal frontage to be 49 and point something percent. So obviously took it below the 50% threshold, but ultimately what we've seen here is a change in heart of the folks included in the SAD. So what we have done or are proposing to do is to set a hearing date for September 20th to hear those folks regarding the petition of reconsideration. Staff will also obviously communicate all this to the neighborhood, and we will extend the petition date for getting signatures a little further now. That will allow us and the board to hear exactly what that neighborhood will is. As I said, I think there is definitely a change in heart because of a number of things. Pricing being probably the biggest one. We've seen that with our own projects, where we've seen a lot of inflationary cost escalades, bid prices coming in quite high. So the bidding environment is not very favorable right now. And obviously that has taken that into consideration, and those costs would have to be passed on to the homeowners, and certainly there's now a reconsideration before us. Any questions on that matter?
Just
Commissioner
one.
Green.
Thank you. So the opportunity to file a petition for reconsideration was triggered by the fact that the bids were over 10% of expectation.
Yes, anytime we have that hearing of objection and the board makes a determination, there's essentially a shot clock, a period of time that is allowed for within the statute for folks to circulate a petition for reconsideration. And so that was the trigger, was that second hearing of objection, and then the board acting on that to move it forward. They were thereby allowed to circulate that petition.
Thank you.
Did that answer your question?
Absolutely.
Anything else? Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Hearing no other questions, Aaron, if you would please call the roll.
Commissioner Joanne McCollum,
Yes.
Commissioner Rod Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Douglas Fuller,
Yes.
and Commissioner Gloria Yamas,
Yes.
and Commissioner Bart Fuller.
Yes. Next item on the agenda are the reports. It appears that Commissioner Sanders is with us this afternoon. Emily, can you allow Commissioner Sanders, please, to speak, or does she do that?
Commissioner Sanders, you should be able to unmute yourself at this point.
Good afternoon. I don't have any updates for you.
Thank you, Caroline. It was good to hear your voice.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I don't believe Commissioner Schenk is with us. No. Okay. Let's move on then to the reports of the road commissioners. Commissioner Green, will have you lead off.
Thank you. On the 21st of July, I attended a meeting of the Transportation Coordinating Council of SEMCOG. On the 28th of July, I attended the executive committee meeting of SEMCOG. On the 1st of August, I attended the meeting of the Southeast Council of the County Road Association. And on July 13th, I attended the chat session of the Washtenaw County Road Commission.
That concludes your report.
Yes, it does.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Doug Fuller.
I'd like to comment only that, as always, in driving around the county, I look at our roads and I'm extremely pleased with the results of the chip seal and now fog sealing that's taking place. Roads that have been thus treated are truly impressive. And I commend the operations department for their efforts in that particular endeavor. Thank you.
Certainly. Commissioner Yamas.
I did the legislative update on 8.5, which had a lot of interesting information about and hope to hear from at a later date about the unfunded liability pension grant that has been approved the $750 million. I did read all of what's required. It won't bore people with that, but it'll be interesting. And I do see that people are capped on the grant who are at 60% their liability. So I'm hoping we could take advantage of that, but we have been very good in trying to get ours caught up, and we may be at that 60%, but that's the end of my report.
All right, thank you. Commissioner McCollum.
Yes, I sent my report in and thank you.
All right. I will simply report that I have completed the cybersecurity training as requested by our IT department, and I could encourage everybody to take time to do that as well. I did it in 2 shifts because I reached a saturation point where I wasn't retaining the lessons. So I encourage you to schedule at least a couple of times to sit down and go through that and complete it, because it is a requirement of our insurance company that people have completed those modules by the 30th or the 31st of this month, I believe. And that concludes my report. Nothing further. We're going to move on to the managing director and her staff reports.
Okay, at first I will start with the fact that we had quite a bit of information in staff reports in the board packet, so I would be happy to entertain any questions if you have any. All
I
right.
don't see any.
As far as my report, just 2 things. We have spent a fair amount of time preparing for and then attending fact finding with our TPOAM bargaining unit. And Mr. Mike Cluck is here to provide you an update. We will be discussing that in closed session here shortly. So that has taken quite a bit of staff time from a variety of people, myself included. And then in addition, Adam and I have continued to slowly make our way around the county, trying to meet with various township officials. I think I shared with you, but if I will at least repeat if I had forgotten to say, we previously had met with both Manchester Township and with Webster Township. And then last week, we were able to make it out to Sylvan Township and to meet with the supervisor and one of the trustees. Actually, the clerk joined us for a brief bit there as well. And they've been interesting. We've definitely seen the different personalities of each of the townships and the priorities and the things that interest them. But they've been very good conversations. Some of our district foremen, as time has permitted, have been able to join us as well. So I think that they've been very fruitful conversations and a nice opportunity to both introduce or reintroduce Adam if they've met him or not had much opportunity to interact with him, but certainly not in his new role. So that's all been very good and productive use of our time.
Lots of new faces, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. But just a good opportunity to also connect as well. So.
And these are different from the annual meetings that we've convened in the past.
Correct. These are just very informal. You know, do they have any questions for us? We've talked a little bit about future planning and projects and information that is helpful to them in the decision-making process looking forward. But they've just been informal meetings. So, but very good.
Thank you for taking the time to do that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So do you have any questions for me?
I don't see any.
All right. Well, first up on our agenda would be Dan Ackerman. Unfortunately, he had a previous engagement, is not able to be here today, but he did give me his report. So I shall share that information. On the IT side of things, Commissioner Fuller had already indicated that we do have the cybersecurity training that is ongoing right now, that does need to be completed by August 31st. If you have any questions with respect to that, please let someone in IT know. But overall, it has been going very well so far. IT is also working on their presentation, which will be at your working session in September, which is the state of IT. So we're like trying to bring you up to speed on where we're at and on the various facets of the road commission. So they've been working on that. And then in addition, they've also been working on the 2022 computer refreshes. So again, we're trying to stay on top of our equipment before it becomes completely obsolete and have a program in place as opposed to, you know, large budgetary items. So we are approximately 55% with this year's refresh. On the finance side of things, staff has been working on the second round of township billings. That's always a huge source of revenue for this organization. We have uploaded the July state trunk line billings using MDOT's new format and procedures. And while Dan didn't say, I will tell you that that was a bit of a effort on behalf of staff, since anything that's new is usually not without its issues. So, but they got that done. They've also been working on the waiver request for our pension program under Public Act 202, which is something that this board has seen in the past. Because as Commissioner Yamas indicated, we are considered an underfunded pension program. We do have to request that waiver, explain what it is that we're doing to work our way towards being, well, ideally fully funded, but we do need to seek that waiver. So they've been working on that. And I can at least tell you the part that Dan has done so far with respect to the 750 million that has been at least earmarked in the 2023 state budget. We are waiting for guidance under the Michigan Department of Treasury, who is to issue how exactly that program will work. We have already checked in with MERS. According to at least the preliminary indications, we do qualify as potentially, being a candidate program for that. But we are waiting for the rules to figure out what our next steps would be. But both Dan and MERS are very well aware of that 750 million. And if at all possible, we intend to be in line for it. So.
Great news.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. So any questions for Dan that hopefully I can answer? All right. Well, thank you for that. And let's see, next up, we have Adam, Director of Operations.
Afternoon, Adam
Oh,
Lake,
yeah.
Director of Operations. Provide a little quick update from the operations side of things today. Fog seal continues as we speak. Less than 50 miles remain, so we're getting close to that 100-mile mark. We're getting there. Limestone and gravel spreading still active in District 3 and now District 2, and then District 6 is preparing to begin as well on the 22nd of August. So ongoing and still placing that 200,000 tons of stone that we scheduled up for this year. So keeping pretty busy. The Arcona Road replacement, culvert replacement was completed last week with some final restoration work done Monday of this week. So that was with Bridgewater Township that we noted before. Went in pretty smooth, had some punch list items from the township's perspective. So we addressed those concerns and finished things up on Monday morning. And finally, our mowing is now on the primary roads. So we're on their second mowing of the season. We're in the northwest portion of the county, working our way to the south, and then we'll come across the east section, the south end of the county, and work our way back up to the northeast end to finish the season. And that is all my updates, unless there are any questions.
Commissioner Green.
Just one. Yesterday, the trucks were out on Getty's Road. Was that a fog seal application they were applying?
Yep, that was starting the fog seal application out. Yep. That road is still ongoing. It's not complete.
Right. Thank you very much.
Yep. All right. That completes my update. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. Thanks, Adam.
You're welcome.
And last but not least, we have Matt McDonnell, our Director of Engineering.
Hello again.
Hello again.
I'm just gonna give a quick report. Our pavement marking contractor for our countywide is following our fog seal. So we are working in close cooperation, and our traffic and safety department is laying out markings. So you'll see the white dashes. That is not our paint program. That is just getting ready for the paint trucks. My wife commented on that previously and said, "That's all you're doing?" So that is not the case.
Go back and try again. Is that what she
Exactly.
said?
That was the order I got. So, but we are marking a lot of our fog sealed rows in addition to all of our normal painting beyond the chip seal and seal coat program. So PK is going to be very busy in the coming weeks here in Washtenaw County. Also, we got good news to report for the Dixboro Road at Plymouth Road intersection. We finally have a fix for our mast arms. There was a fabrication issue that has since been resolved. Our contractor's out there working to complete that signal work, which then will lead into finishing off the pathway and intersection widening for Dixboro Road going southbound. There's going to be a right turn lane to go eastbound onto Plymouth Road. So that work was last year and was dramatically delayed by the fabrication of the mast arms. So also to report on our roundabouts, Pontiac Trail and North Territorial, our communication group has been doing a wonderful job of putting together updates for us. The work, we've got some aerial drone photography. If you haven't seen it, looks good. They literally are taking shape with the curb and gutters having been completed. So North Territorial, that's where we're at. We're working on the splitter islands, pouring concrete. And then at Liberty and Zeeb Road, we are working to complete, hopefully this week, all the concrete pavement. So the curb is done, concrete pavement is hopefully going to get completed this week. There'll be a break in the action while everything cures. We're hoping to coordinate the street lighting while they're taking a break and after the concrete cures, and then they'll come back and do all the splitter islands and stamp concrete. So that's the status of that one. Carpenter Road in Pittsfield Township, the water main has been completed. It is undergoing testing. They do pressure and bacterial testing. Once that passes, our contractor will get in there and also start the curb removal and sidewalk removal. We're going to do one side at a time, north side, then south side, or vice versa. I forget which one's going first. But we ended up replacing the curb. We had initially intended to potentially save a lot of that curb, but after removing the pavement and looking at the condition of it below the pavement, we elected to, this makes all the sense in the world. We're going to replace the curb, and the budget was appropriate. We felt like it was within the project scope and budget. So that's the status of Carpenter Road. Any questions that you may have regarding our projects or things that are going on in the engineering department?
Will we have monitors when the concrete gets poured, so we don't have a situation reoccur like it did at, what was it, Saline Ann Arbor Road and Wagner, where someone drove through the wet concrete? And
Yes, ultimately that responsibility lies with the contractor to protect the work zone.
okay,
But we are taking measures. We've got extra barricades, and certainly our sheriff in the area has been doing a great job when asked, and also on their own to keep monitoring to make sure that the road closure is adhered to and that they're following the detour. So that's definitely on the forefront of our mind. So we
that
are,
was a delay that we didn't need on that
no, we do not.
last project.
Yes, our goal is to get that done as soon as possible, but we're almost there. The legs of the intersection, everything but the north leg is poured, and then they're doing the circle, and then they're going to take a break. And come back when things are all cured, because mopping the kitchen, gotta make your way out
Right.
eventually
Right.
when you're doing concrete work.
And then the Pontiac Trail, North Territorial, that non-detour that people are taking up on, isn't it North Dixboro that they're,
Yes,
on-
that gravel road, our district continues to monitor that, and
Okay.
certainly has we've done a lot of stone patching over the course of the summer, and certainly looked at dust control at times when needed.
okay,
Continue to monitor those, and we work closely with our district foreman, Mike Masty.
okay. Anybody have any other? Commissioner Doug Fuller.
An interesting aside on the North Territorial Pontiac Trail, people that are going on Dixboro Road, when they cross Pontiac Trail, the next thing they come to is North Territorial, and more people northbound on Dixboro Road than not, choose to ignore the stop sign. That's not something that we can control. I'm disappointed that it's a daily thing and it's 80% of the cars blow that sign off completely.
Because of the barricade to the east.
Well,
right?
they
Is it-
assume that since North Territorial is closed going east, that there's no traffic there and they just blow on through at whatever speed they happen to be driving. It's, you know, I'm surprised actually that, Northfield Township Police Department has not put a car there because they could write, I don't know, 15 tickets an hour. I would think that would be revenue enhancement, but whatever, they're not doing it. So, it is a danger, but
Yeah,
to a very limited number of people.
right, right. Thank you for your comment. Anything else? Anybody?
Do have one comment about the work that's being done on Crane Road, Munger. I believe Crane Road is the detour. But they're also doing drainage work, sewage work on Crane Road. I don't think the road commission is part of that, and down Textile. But they have been, they're speeding down that road at incredible, I've never seen.
Well, Crane,
On Crane.
Yeah.
I've never seen so many dead animals in the road because of how fast they're going down that road. It's pretty incredible to me. So I have yet to call the police, but I think I will. The sheriff, there's a sheriff that lives on Crane Road. I don't know if he's not noticed it, but like in 2 days, I saw 3 dead animals in the road. And it's a concern to me. I was looking at how long is Munger Road going to be closed?
So that project is for the Pittsfield Township sanitary sewer. It's been a slow go. They've struggled with dewatering efforts, as you probably, if you haven't been out there, it's
Yes.
a very, very deep sewer. We're talking 30 feet below the road. So in order to excavate for that trench, you have to do a lot of dewatering. So that dewatering process, and you're probably referring to some of that in the drainage, they have to pump it out of the ground and put it to a suitable outlet. A lot of times it's a county road ditch. And we certainly are coordinating our permit staff, Mark McCullough, and our inspector is coordinating with our operations department, making sure that's appropriate and that we aren't getting overwhelmed, our drainage systems. But it has been a very slow progress. There are concerns that we do not want to allow them to continue and start excavating a road that they won't be able to put back together in time for winter, especially like if it's a major corridor like Textile Road. So we're having conversations with the township and their contractor on those staging and phasing questions. So we'll continue to monitor and let you know what is decided prior to the snow flying. We're obviously, there's still lots of window of construction to get work accomplished, but that's definitely on the forefront of our minds because it has been slower than anticipated. And a lot of it had to do because of the dewatering efforts.
And that stretch of road is under the jurisdiction of the Pittsfield Township Public Safety Department?
Yes, so I've taken notes for both those instances and I'll certainly reach out myself
Thank you.
for those concerns.
All right.
Okay. Very good. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Matt.
Yep.
Back to you, Cheryl.
All right, well, that's it from staff.
All right. So at this time, I'd like a motion to begin our scheduled closed session under Section 8C of the Open Meetings Act to receive an update on the TPOAM fact finding.
So moved.
Support.
Aaron, if you would please call the roll.
Commissioner Douglas Fuller,
Aye.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas,
Yes.
Commissioner Joanne McCullum,
Yes.
Commissioner Rod Green,
Yes.
and Commissioner Burt Fuller.
Yes.
Thanks, commissioners. So for virtual participants, if you are not a road commissioner or a designated staff member, I'll now move you to the virtual waiting room. If you'd like to be returned to the open session of the meeting, once you've completed the closed session, please remain in the waiting room. I'll readmit you once the closed session has been completed. In-person attendees, you are welcome to stay in your seats, or you can wait out in the lobby until we have resumed. We are ready to go on my end.
At this time, I'd entertain a motion to return to exit closed session and return to regular session.
I support.
Aaron, if you would please call the roll.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas,
Yes.
Commissioner Joanne McCullum,
Yes.
Commissioner Rod Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Douglas Fuller,
Aye.
and Commissioner Burt Fuller.
Yes. That essentially concludes the business of this board this day. I want people to note that on September 6th, we will meet at 1 o'clock for our regular board meeting. Virtual chat sessions on August 17th, tomorrow. Commissioner Gloria Yamas will be staffing that chat session. On August 24th, Commissioner Roderick Green will staff that session. On August 31st, Commissioner Joanne McCullum will be the road commissioner on staff for that particular chat session. So if there's no further business to come before this board, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
Support. Aaron, if you would please call the roll.
Commissioner Joanne McCullum,
Yes.
Commissioner Rod Green,
Yeah.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas,
Yes.
Commissioner Douglas Fuller,
Aye.
and Commissioner Burt Fuller.
Yes, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.